It was the year 1622, on the coast of Florida, during a cold, stormy night. A Spanish cargo ship, filled with treasures of gold and silver, was desperately trying to return to Spain. But as it crossed the Florida Straits, it was struck by a violent hurricane, and within moments, the ship's massive masts were shattered. The rear paddle was also torn away by the fierce waves. Soon after, the ship Nuestra Señora de Atocha sank deep into the sea. That night, treasure worth at least $500 million sank with it, becoming an unsolved mystery for centuries. But 300 years later, this priceless treasure hidden beneath the ocean floor was finally discovered, and no one could have imagined just how valuable it truly was. When the Atocha went down that terrifying night, it sank near a coral reef in the Florida Keys, which was only a small part of a 200-mile-long chain of islands. At first, everyone knew where the ship had sunk. But just weeks later, another hurricane struck, breaking the wreck apart and scattering its remains across the ocean floor, erasing its exact location forever. However, the records of the treasure were never lost. On board the Atocha were 150 gold bars, 1,000 silver bars, and over 50 treasure chests. Altogether, the wealth would be worth around $500 million in today's terms. Over the years, many tried to find this treasure, some even losing their lives in the attempt. Yet no one succeeded. That is, until American treasure hunter Mel Fisher came along. He had dedicated his entire life to underwater exploration, running a diving school in California with his wife, where they trained over 60,000 divers. Driven by the lure of Atocha's treasure, Mel and his family moved to Florida and began their search. At first, they had very limited equipment, just a small boat and a few metal detectors. They began searching around a place called Matacumba Key. But after a full year of effort and scanning over 100,000 miles of ocean, they still found nothing. Many people believed that finding the Atocha in such a vast sea was impossible. But Mel had a secret weapon. Historian Eugene Leon. Eugene traveled to the archives in Seville, Spain, where he discovered a document written 4 years after the sinking. It described a search operation conducted near Marquesas Key, more than 100 miles away from where Mel had been searching. Immediately, Mel moved his team there. But now they faced deeper waters and a serious problem: visibility. The water looked clear from above, but divers could hardly see their own hands underwater. To solve this, Mel invented a brilliant device. He attached 2 large tubes to his boat's propellers, which pushed clean surface water down to the bottom. This not only cleared the sediment but also dug holes, exposing anything buried under the sand. In 1971, after years of effort, they found their first clue: a massive anchor buried under the seabed. Though it wasn't treasure, it proved they were close. Soon, more artifacts appeared: cups, swords, cannonballs, and even iron nails that once held the ship together. Mel's team began mapping each find, and eventually, a clear trail started to form. They believed the treasure must lie along this line. But after 2 more years, no valuable cargo was uncovered, and Mel was running out of money. In 1973, they finally struck something big: 3 giant silver bars and a silver coin worth over $100,000. Still, they weren't sure if these came from the Atocha or another wreck. To confirm, they studied the ship's original cargo manifest, which listed the exact weights and serial numbers of each bar. To their amazement, the numbers on the silver bars matched perfectly. They had proof. This was the Atocha. Slowly, they cleaned the coins using electrolysis and sold some to fund further searches. But just as things were improving, the Florida state government tried to seize all of Mel's discoveries, claiming ownership. Mel fought back in court. Meanwhile, the team uncovered even more evidence: 9 bronze cannons engraved with Atocha's markings. But tragedy struck. Just a day after this breakthrough, one of Mel's boats capsized, killing 3 crew members, including Mel's own son. Heartbroken, Mel carried on. For years, progress stalled. Yet he always believed in a mysterious document written by a survivor of the Atocha, which claimed that over 70 pounds of rare Colombian emeralds were smuggled aboard the ship. Mel was convinced the Atocha carried more than just gold and silver; it held unique treasures. After 8 long years of legal battles, Mel finally defeated the Florida government and won full rights to the treasure. By then, he had already spent over $6 million on the search. Still, no great fortune had been recovered. That changed in 1983. One day, their magnetometer picked up unusual signals. Divers went down and found metallic objects southeast of their mapped trail. When plotted on the map, it revealed a new line of wreckage. Finally, on July 20, 1985, exactly 10 years later, their sonar detected a massive object buried below. Divers Greg and Warren swam down, and just 100 yards away, they saw it, the wreckage of the Atocha itself. Scattered across the seabed lay gold bars, coins, and treasures. Among them, they found a priceless emerald the size of a fingertip, valued at over $800,000. Soon after, another emerald worth over $100,000 surfaced. In total, over 2,000 intact emeralds were recovered. After 16 years of relentless searching, Mel Fisher and his team had finally uncovered the legendary treasure of the Atocha, one of the greatest underwater finds in history.